I got my hands on the brand new Elysia xpector headphone amp and monitor controller, and I wanted to give an overview of what it is and also how to connect it and use it. First, it's definitely more than just a headphone amp. It's kind of like a two-channel mixer that has some advanced functionality on it. There is this engineer's side, and it has controls for switching between stereo, mono, and then mid sides, which is pretty cool for mixing and also for checking phase when you're recording. And then there's an artist side over here. It has a high shelf and low shelf, and it has its own volume control. Both channels have that independent volume control, and probably the biggest selling point of the xpector is both channels also have the ability to blend the signal coming directly from your microphone or whatever instrument you're recording and the backing track coming from your DAW. So basically you'll connect a microphone into the xpector, which I'll show you how to do later, and then you can actually control the volume of your inputs directly and blend it against the audio coming directly from Pro Tools. It's really handy in recording sessions when an artist wants to hear a lot more of themselves while they're singing in particular. You can really give them pretty much as much volume as they want for themselves. And yes, you could boost that in Pro Tools, Logic, whatever, but the other big benefit of the xpector is because you're going directly into this and then out to Pro Tools, there's effectively zero latency monitoring while recording, which is really nice for not putting any strain on your computer. You can also use it as a monitor controller. Whenever you click this speaker button at the top, that mutes the headphones and sends audio out of the monitor outputs on the back of the unit, and this mid-side control also works for your monitors, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this thing has some awesome functionality, but just as a headphone amp alone, it's really powerful and it sounds fantastic. I'm using the headphone 2s for mixing, which are super transparent and flat, but because they're ribbon headphones, they do require a lot of juice from a headphone amp. Before I got the xpector, I had my Focusrite 16 lines headphone outputs cranked pretty much all the way up, and it still wasn't quite loud enough. But with this thing, I can put it at like 50% and it's almost too loud. And that's without adding trim, which you can do over here, or boosting the direct and the DAW signal in addition to the headphone amp, which you can do. I mean, you can turn all of these up and this thing would probably blow your eardrums out. It's basically endless headroom for any headphones out there. So that's an overview of what it is. Two-channel mixer that can be used for headphones or monitors with some advanced functionality for mixing and recording. Let's talk about how to actually connect this thing and use it in recording sessions. You'll need to do some setup with your DAW's outputs, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever you're using, and with your microphone input chains. So let's go through those one by one. First, how do you connect it to your DAW? To use the xpector as a headphone amp and monitor controller, you'll need to send your main 2-bus out of Pro Tools, Logic, or whatever you're using. The simplest way to do this is to literally connect your monitor left and right out of your interface and put it into these DAW inputs on the back of the xpector. Those are these two inputs right here, left and right. DAW out is if you want to connect additional xpectors. You can chain them all together and have multiple artist mixes. Then that's sending your signal out, so then you would connect your headphones either to the jacks on the front or to these two headphone jacks on the back, which are just mirrors of those front ones. They're not any different. And then connect your monitors to the monitor left and right. That's it. My situation is a little bit more complicated here because I'm mixing in Atmos and also have a different dedicated monitor controller, the Focusrite RedNet R1. So I've basically set up my interfaces routing to mirror my main outputs and send a copy to the xpector running from my patch bay. So now that you have connected your interfaces outputs to the xpector, now you're going to add your direct signal. This could be a microphone, instrument, whatever it is you're going to record. The main benefit of running through the xpector, aside from independent control of the microphone or instrument signal compared to the rest of the mix, is that you have basically zero latency monitoring. To connect it, just take a cable from your preamp plug it into the left and or right inputs of the direct signal. Then you take two other cables, send them from the outputs directly into your line level in your interface. And again, you can connect multiple xpector units together using the outputs in this section. Once all of this is connected, a few quick notes. 1. The output of the direct microphone section are not affected at all by what you do on the front. So if you're boosting, etc. with the direct knobs that are on the front here, it's not affecting the output signal of the direct outputs on the back of the xpector. So you can just tweak these settings to your heart's desire. You're not affecting your input signal in Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, whatever at all. 2, just to reiterate, whenever you click this speaker button, it is turning on or off the speaker outputs on the back, and you can use that same mid-side functionality through your speakers that you can use on your headphones. 3, you'll need to do one more step in your DAW for recording. And that's just to make sure that you turn off input monitoring on the track that you're recording. Otherwise, you might get an echo because you'll be hearing your microphone through the DAW signal as well as directly through the xpector. So with all of this connected, you'll be able to blend these knobs to change the amount of direct signal, aka the person singing or playing an instrument in the headphones versus the backing tracks or click coming from the DAW. I'm using the III ultra low latency wireless headphones out of the artist side so they can move easily around the room, and my Audio Technicas for the engineer. I've also been hosting events around LA for Head Audio recently, and we take the xpector to all of them to show off the headphones because how great it sounds just as a headphone amp. So it's been super easy to connect into any studios that we visit. That's basically it. It might look a little complicated at first glance, but once you wrap your head around what it's doing, it's actually pretty simple. If you want more audio gear tutorials or first looks, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Check me out on Instagram as well, @TomEdwardsMusic, and I'll see you guys in the next one.